Hi, I'm Clayton. I'm ECD at Found. Found is a studio of 23 people right now, and we're based in Farringdon, London. We have a range of different projects, lots of different brands that we work with, lots of different subject matters and technologies. We try to find the right tool for the job, and more often than not now we're getting into a Houdini workflow. Sometimes that is part of a project, part of a workflow. Sometimes we're completing the project from beginning to end. So for us, Houdini brings the real world physics into the work that we produce. We're quite often trying to replicate the real world, photographically sometimes. As a design team, we're always looking to develop. We could look at how that is developing a team, and we're seeing aspects of Houdini which is really facilitating that amplification. Another way that we're seeing amplification within the work and within our approach is to start to understand and dive into and just explore AI. There's a number of tools out there and it's rapidly developing. We're trying to keep pace with what's happening there.
Hi, my name's Kieran. I'm design lead at Found. So at Found, we talk a lot about how we amplify our processes, and one of the recent ways we've been doing that is using AI to convert complex maths formulas and then implementing those formulas inside of Houdini via Vex. And basically we used ChatGPT to basically take this formula and break it down into more manageable bite-sized chunks and essentially rebuild this quite complex maths formula inside Vex. And it gave us some fantastic results.
London Craft Week was a project that we worked on, have done for a couple of years. It was the 10-year anniversary of London Craft Week. They were up for doing something more ambitious than just commissioning one image. On the whole, we're commissioned to produce an image that becomes the hero campaign asset. That appears on the cover of their catalogues, it appears on posters that you see around London, on the tube, on the buses, etc. And so it's a high-profile moment in time across London. We were introduced to this idea of a printing press called the HP 12000, which means that you can print every copy of whatever it is you're printing, the cover of a magazine, the poster, pamphlets, with a unique design on each sheet. And that got us thinking, well, if we're able to create a unique design every time a piece of paper comes out of that printing press, then we're going to need some quantity of assets in order to exploit it. But it just so happened that Kieran was exploring the wedging process within Houdini.
I'd been playing around a lot with tops, specifically wedging, and we'd kind of found this was a really powerful technique to generate lots and lots of different objects and run multiple simulations. And it just so happened that this project we were going to be using a printing process where we were able to print an infinite amount of unique covers on these brochures. And we thought, well, why don't we use wedging to create 1,000 unique covers?
We could honestly say that we've used a wedging process within a Guinness project we recently delivered, exploring how droplets of liquid interact with each other. And of course we can do that anyway with Houdini, but seeing 6, 12, 18 variants on that, but they are all the difference when you're talking about designing something. And quite often the difference between one droplet splash and another for us is the design process. That's the craft and decision making.
We've used it on pretty high profile projects. One was for L'Oreal, where we basically needed to simulate hair breaking. With wedging, we were able to basically create these very rapidly variations of these hair breaks. And what we found that's interesting with using wedging as a technique is that we can very early on put multiple options in front of a client.
All in all, I think that the right choice of tools with the right technologies and the right innovations all came together at the same time. And we were just super interested ourselves to enter into the world of print, using something like Houdini, which was quite cool to think that it kind of ended up becoming something that was a printed asset or a series of posters.